What's going on? What's going on? On my way to the damn gym. Cold as hell out here. Oh, salute to everybody in the West Coast, you pieces of crap. That nice 360 all year long good weather. But anyway, so Teofimo's in the news again. I don't know what's wrong with this kid. It seems as if him and his father are living like in a different dimension or a completely different world than from the realities of what's going on. First when it pertains to the belts and him being undisputed, which obviously is being disputed, and you have fighters, fans consistently getting on him and letting him understand that, hey, you're gonna have to fight whoever has that real WBC belt in order to be undisputed, in order to have that same hardware around your waist that all the other undisputed fighters have around their waist. You're gonna have to do that. Not only from that, but also the fact with now he's talking all this stuff about, Showtime is done. Showtime is it's a wrap for them. In a couple of years, they're gonna be out of here, and it's all about the zone, and it's all about ESPN, which I don't know, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Kind of like the whole what's it called, the A side when it comes to everybody, including Gervonta Tank Davis. Even though Gervonta Tank Davis is doing substantially higher gates, even though Gervonta Tank Davis is doing pay-per-views and doing numbers, no one in the history of boxing at 135 pounds has ever done the numbers that he's doing. Not even close. So actually, technically, he's at this point doing historical stuff right now. But somehow he still believes that, he's the A side when it comes to that situation. And you're talking all this stuff about how Showtime's done. They're going to be out of here in a couple of years. While you're sitting at a Showtime event, while you're trying to take a shine, the shine from a bout that's being done, by PBC, to try to bring, people's eyes towards you. As far as you get into Canelo and you putting up your belts and everything like that, you're doing that to try to get shine on you at a Showtime event. So the words that he's speaking right there alone makes absolutely no sense. Then it turns out the event does $18 million at the gate. This is, the highest gate that Canelo's had in, God knows how long. Double anything he's done with the zone. It might be close to almost all his events combined. Maybe not combined, but definitely double what, his highest was in the zone. So then you have that, and then remember the last time, he had a fight with the zone, and there was a UFC card going on. What did they have to do with that UFC card? They had Kovalev sitting back there. They had Canelo sitting back there waiting for that event to be over before they went on, trying to see if they can get additional viewerships. There was none of that going on this time. It's a Showtime event, and everything is just clicking. Clicking. Not to mention, Showtime's putting up $50 million. Showtime, PBC, they're putting up $50 million for this event. Up front, like it's nothing. This is a network that, is having, shows after shows after shows. Its schedule's still the same as always. Same as always. They also did pay-per-view with the Charles, which did good on pay-per-views. You're doing pay-per-views with Gervonta Tank Davis, which is doing great on pay-per-view. And they're telling Canelo, hey, you want to do any other major big fights? We can do that too. We got the bread, we got the money. It's nothing. But the people that are supposedly, going to be on top are, you're talking about the zone who's furloughed a whole bunch of employees. The zone who's basically pretty much stopped, said they're not even trying to compete with anybody in the United States because it's too much competition, and they're gonna do shows in the United States sparingly, but they're not trying to compete with anybody. Pretty much they've bowed out already. So the guys that are gonna be, the top guys according to you are the guys who have bowed out. Who that the CEO, he's out of here. The guy who they had in, Fish or whatever the hell his name is, who used to be in control of ESPN, who got fired from ESPN, they got him out of here. And he made it clear. He's like, no, they can't compete until they can get other types of, live events and get some main programming, whether it be football, basketball, baseball. They can't compete. They can't compete. But as far as Showtime, they have other programming besides just boxing. They consistently bring in revenue doing other things. They've been fine. They've been around forever. They're going to stay around. And it's nothing they're doing as it pertains to their boxing that says, they're going to be out of here soon. If it's the complete opposite. They want to get more of the big fights. They're saying we want more of the big fights. We're not getting as many big fights as we want. These are the words that are coming out of Showtime. So you could contrast the difference between the things that they're saying and then the things that the Zone is doing, is saying. And look at the things that they're doing, the money they're willing to put up for fights. And what the Zone is doing budget cuts. The Zone is cutting down the amount of money they're paying. The Zone is the one saying, hey, Canelo, we can only pay you $15 million a fight if you want to still fight here. Even when it came to this particular fight, the money was put up for this particular fight. Canelo ended up, listening to Eddie Hearn, went back to the Zone. I'm guessing they're thinking that they can use this as leverage to get just as big as a deal or get the same amount of money at the Zone to fight Beevil or whatever it is, somebody else on the Zone. And they found out real quick, the Zone ain't about that time. They're like, hell no, we ain't doing those kind of numbers. They bought out of that situation real quick. And Canelo had to double back, reverse, and go back to get, the previous deal that he had on the table. That's what happened with that. And now they're talking about that fight did over 800,000 pay-per-views. So Canelo, at the end of the day, they had a 60-40 split between him and Caleb Plant when it came to pay-per-views. I know obviously the networks and everything like that are going to get their cuts, but he's going to end up making a substantial amount of money. The guy's, he's going to going home probably with 50 million plus. Caleb Plant's going to go home with 15 million plus, 20, whatever it is. He's going to go home good. He's going to make off substantially in this fight. Everybody's going to eat off this fight, which kind of puts him to a space where it's like, chances are he's probably going to want to do this again. Especially since he's, the worst thing you can do when you're competing with Al Heyman is to have a fight where your fighter works with Al Heyman. Because after they work with Al Heyman, they seem to, for the most part, stay. They seem to not want to leave when those things happen. They seem to not want to leave. Part of the reason why I believe, when it came to the Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford fight, Bob Arum made sure he was in control of that fight to still put himself into a space where he can possibly still be in control of what happens with Terrence Crawford and be able to work with Terrence Crawford in the future. He didn't want PBC being in control of that. Where all of a sudden, all this back-end money, that he takes away from Terrence Crawford, all of a sudden, Terrence Crawford is getting it. Where Al Heyman's letting him know, hey, when it comes to, television rights and this and that and concessions and gates and this, these are all the money that you're not getting. You're going to get all this for this fight. That happens, it's over. It was going to be over. So he was like, oh, hell no. I gotta stay focused, keep a hold of this. And that's what he did. But for the most part, though, you look at all the money that they put up for fights. Showtime's put up more money for this fight than probably... it's probably closer to, ESPN's whole budget for this year. If not more. For the entire year. Because they're not, that shows how much they're vested when it comes to this sport. Have you seen the viewerships when it pertains to them? Have you seen, how many fights have you even seen on ESPN that people are really focused on like that? How many of the fighters are people really even focused on like that? You got this is ESPN, and they have bouts where 300, 400,000 people watch what's going to view a fight on ESPN. So they go hardcore when it comes to the UFC. They put a lot of money, they put a lot of funds when it comes to the UFC. But in boxing, they're not really doing it like that. They could, but they're not vested in it like that. Bob Arum, he works in this budget. I'm getting $5 million for this fight. I'm gonna pay this guy, and I'm getting a budget for these, for the fighters. So I'm gonna give them their budget. I'm gonna try to get a nice little deal, one of these MGM Grand places or these hotels where they pay me to have the event at their place. I'm gonna keep that money. And that's how he does. And he just keeps everything, make sure everything's on point as far as finances that are spent to make sure he gets his little, his profit on every single fight. Where he makes a good amount of profit every single year. That's how he does it. But they're not going hardcore or, crazy when it pertains to fights like that. When it comes to DAZN, already said it. They're not doing anything. They're basically, it's over with them. I mean, for the most part. I mean, they're not doing anything major when it comes to the United States at all. They're doing other fights when it comes to the UK, and that's what they're focusing. They said that's what their focus is going to be. It's more of the UK, more of Europe. You know, that's where they're going to put all their, you know, their ducks, whatever, their chickens, hens, whatever, eggs into. That's the basket they're putting all their eggs into, for the most part. They'll do a little Devin Haney shows here and there, other little small shows, but nothing major over here. You know, they didn't put up, you know, any kind of major money for that Teofimo Lopez fight. You know, nothing crazy. You know, so they're not, you know, offering any crazy substantial amount of money to try to get any kind of major fights there. Absolutely not. They're not doing that. You know, so, I mean, I guess Teo can keep living in this, you know, fairy tale world. But, you know, as with all things, as with, you know, like he saw with the whole Triller whole situation, reality ends up bumping you and punching you in the face. But for now, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.